Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Wanted to give you an update. I did get the cylinder heads torqued down, exhaust headers on both sides put on, rocker arm stands torqued down. I did put the push rods in. I put some lube on the cups and on the tips of the push rods. I did get a question about why do I have these spacers above the cylinder head on both sides and the intake. And here I'll show you exactly what's going on. But real quick, this is a LS3 block, stock block, 416 stroker, LS1 241 heads, right? So those are cathedral port heads. And I have an LS3 low ram intake. Right, so why do I have the LS1s on the LS3? Well, so these are pretty decent heads, even though they're 241s for cathedral port. They've been milled and ported, better, bigger valves in them. So and I have all the valve train and everything for them. That's gesso valve train. So I want to go ahead and keep them because pretty decent. And get into another set of if I do go to another set of heads. It'll probably be when I go to a 6-bolt. That's what I'm thinking. I haven't decided yet. But because it's supercharged, it isn't that big of a difference. There's a little bit of difference in the LS3 and basically no difference from a cathedral port. Once you start porting and milling the heads on a cathedral port, they're really close to being the same. And the difference really is a couple of the heads have different valves. But the big difference is the combustion chamber. And when you mill these down, I think these are 50 thousandths, maybe a little more, I can't remember. But once you start milling them and working on them, they're all pretty good. So I bought these from ICT, these adapters, and they actually look pretty good. So they're CNC, you can see here, and they fit the port really good. I mean, they're really good. You can see if you look down at it, it kind of goes in and then an angle, and each one of them is like that. Now here's the problem that I think would impact flow. I'll show you on this side, is right here. So down here is where this has to come up to mount to the LS3 rectangle, right? And you can see how this side comes up, but so does that. So there's a transition down in here, and then before it hits the cylinder head, and that's quite a bit. But because it's under boost, it's not that bad, right? Richard Holdner did a test on it, and it's like virtually no difference at all. So these are pretty decent. They just bolt on, and I had these studs that help because of the added length on these, pushing the intake up. I'll pull them off so you can see the other side. But they're pretty good. Now, if you look right there, it's not square. You see how that? When I saw that, I was like, oh man, they didn't mill that right. And because they're CNC, and every one of them is like that. But if you put them on, they actually marry up really good to the cylinder head and down inside where it mounts to the head. So yeah, to the head and to the intake, it actually mounts up pretty good. Yeah, so they're pretty decent. And if you're wanting to run, and then they have them both ways. They have them for an LS3 intake to a LS1 head and an LS1 intake to a LS3 head. So you can kind of do whatever you want to do. Pretty decent size. So here I'll show you what my intake ports. Yeah, so quite a bit of difference, but these marry up pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with it. This is a low ram intake. And yeah, this is Motion Raceworks throttle body. This is the tightest radius that I could find. Pretty cool. You just flip this upside down, and then you have the bracket here, and that mounts your cable. Pretty clean setup. This were dual injectors. I tapped them and plugged them, so I only one single. I did get the 2200 cc injectors to replace the 1500s that I had in here because I was running out of fuel. If you didn't see the previous videos that I had, I was hitting the safety cut, and it was cutting out fuel, like low in the RPM range, and I couldn't figure out what it was. Fuel pressure was looking good, but duty cycle was maxed out. So anyway, I think I got all that fixed. I'll put the injectors in and I'll test it, and we're going to take it to the dyno and make sure everything's good before I hurt the track again. So the plan for me today, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put these rocker arms on and put the intake on, and then start connecting all these connectors and stuff. And it looks like a rat's nest, but all this goes below the intake, and so you won't see it. And it's not bad. These are just injectors and a couple of connectors for the throttle body and the auto control, and nothing really a big deal about it. So easy to work on, super cool. If you got any other questions, just let me know and I'll try to show them. Yeah. Oh, so one more thing. These, because you got to have these studs when you put the spacers on, right? And with the intake and the way this intercooler, see if I can focus, the intercooler right here sticks over, you can't get, my point right here, you can't get a bolt in there, right? Because it won't fit down in there. So you have to use a stud. And so, because there's an overhang, you see, right? You see how it doesn't work, all right? So, have to use these. Now, these, one is shorter threaded than the other, right? So the shorter thread goes in. Now, and if you're trying to get longer ones, which I tried to do, to buy longer ones, because once you got a stud, you're okay with going longer. The problem is, if you look where that stud is, and you line it up, there's your push rod. And this is, if you screw this all the way in, the other one that I bought all the way in, it'll hit that push rod. And you won't know it if you're just putting these in and you don't have the heads off and you're checking it, but you can see if you look in there, the thread coming through. So anyway, just something I noted that I'm sure people would probably have done before and not openly admitted about it, but I bought them and didn't put them on. Luckily I checked first, but anyway, there it is. I'll get everything else thrown back together pretty shortly and give you an update. But hey, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.